Hey guys, what's going on everybody? It's Mr. Simon here and welcome back to a brand new series on my channel. This is PvP tips and tricks. This is going to be a series where I tell you guys a load of techniques in PvP just to improve your gameplay and you know, be the best one around. So if you do enjoy this video and it's helpful to you in any way, please do leave a like below, and if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe. It really helps me out a lot. So yeah, hopefully you enjoy this series, guys. It helps you out a bit, and we'll get into the first episode, which is going to be swords. Alright guys, so the first thing I want to talk about in this first tips and tricks episode is actually the swords damage. So this is the order in which the swords go from the ones that do the least damage to the ones that do the most damage. So obviously, as you can see here, it goes golden sword, wooden sword, stone sword, iron sword, then diamond sword. Now there is an exception here, so the gold sword and the wooden sword actually do the same attack damage, but I put gold sword at the bottom literally because it breaks much faster than the wooden one. So if you're in the survival games, definitely use a wooden one. It's gonna do better in the long run, as it's not gonna break as fast. So I'm gonna go through how much attack damage they do first, and then I'm gonna go through how much damage they do with a crit and how much they do with a non-crit to a person with no armor. So the gold sword and the wooden sword both have a +4 attack damage, the stone sword +5, the iron sword +6, and the diamond sword a +7. So the gold sword actually does 2.5 hearts non-crit and 3.5 hearts with a crit. The wooden sword, however, does the same, obviously, because it's the same attack damage, obviously, but it lasts longer in the long run. The stone does 3 hearts to a person in no armor as a non-crit and 4.5 with a crit. The iron sword does 3.5 non-crit and 5 as a crit. The diamond does 4 as a non-crit and 6 as a crit. So it obviously makes the world of difference to get critical hits on your opponents. And I'm going to talk a bit more about critical hits later on in the episode, so carry on watching. So the first thing you want to make sure you do, guys, is have a nice steady rhythm of clicking. So this might sound pretty stupid, but we're going to start off with the real basics here, and this is the first stage to being good with a sword in PvP. Alright guys, so the second thing I want to say in this tips and tricks video is probably one of the most important things you can do, and this is actually strafing. So as you can see in this fight here, I'm not really strafing at all, I'm just walking forwards towards a guy, and that makes it very easy for him to hit me. So what strafing does, guys, is it basically makes it so that the person you're fighting, your opponent, can't actually follow your movements. So you're like strafing around him, you're just kind of moving in patterns around him, and that makes it very difficult for him to follow your movements, and therefore he's not able to hit you as much, but you're still able to be hitting him as you're rotating around him. Alright, so here you can see it from my perspective, guys. Now, as you can see here, my opponent's strafing around me so much that it's actually becoming difficult for me to actually hit him at all. He's going, to the side of me, around the back of me, and this in general just makes it harder for me to hit him, and it means he's got the advantage in the fight. Alright guys, the next thing I'm going to talk about in this PvP tips and tricks video are actually crits. Now these are really important, guys. So as you can see here, it's taken me a lot of hits with non-crits to actually kill Aloy. But crits are a way to, do more damage to your opponent and prevent it from taking so many hits. So I'm now going to show you with my lovely assistant Aloy how to get these. So as you see, when you hit someone normally without jumping or anything, it should do 1 heart with an iron sword, or it should do so much damage depending on the opponent's armor and the sword that you're using. And so basically, if you want to get a crit, guys, a lot of people think you can get a crit by like being in midair and hitting them, but that's not going to get you a crit, and it's just going to do the same damage as if you're just standing on the ground. So if you do want to get a critical hit, then all you need to do is jump up, and then when you're coming down, just hit, and then you'll see the crit particles coming off him when I'm doing this. Now, this is something that you can use in a lot of ways, because this does actually 50% more damage. So this will do 1.5 hearts with an iron sword when your opponent has full iron armor. So it's definitely a thing to use, because in the long run you can kill them in like you can you can win the actual fight by 2 more hits, which which is pretty good. So yeah, it's definitely a thing to do, and I'm just going to show you now how long it takes me to kill Aloe using crits instead. So as you can see here, guys, the crits are doing a lot more damage, and therefore I'm able to kill Aloe much faster. Alright guys, so when you feel like you've got both of these techniques pretty much mastered, you are then able to mix them together and basically get your crits while you are strafing around the person. This does, as I said, 50% more damage to the guy, and it makes it so they cannot hit you as easily, which is very useful in PvP fights. Alright guys, so the last thing I want to say in this episode of Tips and Tricks is, remember guys, use your environment around you. So say you're fighting in this deathmatch arena, right, and you see a bit of high ground, always go for the high ground. It gives you something called the high ground advantage, which means it sort of hooks into critical hits a bit. So if you're on the high ground, you are able to jump down on your opponent and either give a get a massive combo on them, or get a crit as you're dropping down onto them, which gives you an automatic critical hit. So it's definitely good having the high ground, so make sure you take advantage of your environment. Alright guys, so that's all I've got for this episode of PvP Tips and Tricks, but if you do want some more tips and tricks, then you can always check out episode 2, that will be in the description below if it's released, and yeah, I hope you got something out of this tutorial. Next episode we're going to be talking about the fishing rod, which can really honestly help your PvP, so make sure you go check that out in the description below. Alright guys, so before I end off this episode, I just want to give a big shout out to my friend Keithy for making the thumbnails for this series. It really is appreciated, and he's really good at graphics as well, so it's definitely worth go checking him out if you're a YouTuber or whatever, and you want some graphics, or even if you just like watching speed arts or something, he's the one to go to. He also does like survival games and stuff, so his channel link will be in the description. And yeah, that's about it. Remember to go check him out. Tell him Mr. Samicam sent you, because that'd be really cool to see some comments saying that. But yeah, see you in the next episode.